to taking over Kinshasa. But Goma is very close to Rwanda, right? And if Rwanda is indeed trying to play a Putin on us, right? If they do acquire Goma, they'll have access to a lot of mineral resources, which of course will enrich Rwanda, and they'll have control of so many things, including the exportation of those mineral resources. Now, this is if this is what they're trying to do, right? But we don't know yet. But again, you should be concerned your cell phone, right? Now, my take on this is that there needs to be dialogue, right? There's no way in heaven, hell, earth, or whatever it is, that the DRC should be a poor country. This is a country that has so many mineral resources. This country should be wealthy. This country gained its independence in the 60s from Belgium. And up to today, you want to tell me that. And again, I'm not trying to this is the same thing with almost every African country, right? Everyone gained independence in the 60s. And since the 60s, people are just going in circles and just doing nonsense, right? But since we're talking about the DRC now, here is my take on this, right? I think there needs to be dialogue. And President Ruto, who is the president of Kenya, mentioned this. Shout out to my Kenyans. I know that Ruto is not popularly liked in Kenya, but he made sense when he said there needs to be dialogue. And my thing is that African countries need to stop relying on the West, aka the UK, the EU, and the US to chief or to be in charge of their even the UN to be in charge of their mediation and also in charge of their peacekeeping, whatever. We have various regional blocks in Africa. There's ECOWAS, there is COMESA, there is SADC. Now, I don't want to, and there's the AU. I don't know if the AU is still in operation, but if it is, I don't want to believe that all these blocks are just there for fancy. I'm pretty sure that there's something that could be done to bring about a peace talk within the country and the M23 and Rwanda. Now, the president of Rwanda did make a statement that he does not negotiate with terrorists. My dear president, you are not a Western country. You are not a superpower. These so-called terrorists are taking over your country. So it behooves you to find a way to dialogue with these people so they don't take over your country and mess up the whole place and mess up the citizenry, right? There needs to be dialogue. You cannot say, oh, we don't negotiate with terrorists. You have a weak army. Nothing is being done. People are displaced in your country. People keep moving up and down. People are dying. Your whole infrastructure that you had is a disaster. So I think dialogue is the best thing to do. And there needs to be some kind of mediation within the bloc. And I think that the DRC is part of COMESA, if I'm not mistaken. So therefore, COMESA countries needs to have a dialogue and find a way to make sure that this stop happening. And for all of us who enjoy Coltan, by using our cell phones, we're making content. I think that everyone should be worried and kind of saying something and pushing this so there can be peace. And so that we can continue to have Coltan. And also, just like blood diamond, something needs to be done to prevent us from using blood Coltan. I know there are various corporations who are behind all of this. If they are, you need to come and do something and say something and find a way to bring about some kind of peace so that people who are the ones producing these resources are benefiting from them. I know that corruption is the order of the day in most of these countries, which is the reason why most of these countries are suffering. Most of these countries, I mean African countries, keep suffering from this nonsensical rubbish, I think. I don't understand why a country like DRC should be poor. I don't understand why a country like Nigeria should be poor. Why a country like so many of them in Africa should be poor. But the fact still remains that Africa has not been able to manage its resources to the benefit of its citizenry. In 2025, we are calling the African president to the front of the line. We need to do something. Something needs to be done to make sure that we become what we are meant to be, which is a powerhouse continent, because the continent of Africa have all the resources. We should be self-sustaining. We should be helping, not accepting help. So my take on this is that something needs to be done by these countries to be able to bring about some kind of dialogue and mediation within the continent, so this does not continue to go on. Now, the way forward, like I mentioned, is dialogue. I don't know if there's any other way. If you think there's something else, please feel free to comment. I'm willing to have the conversation with everyone who is listening, who is interested in such topics. And we'll continue to say these things with our full chest, because that's the only way.